The date was June 7, 1992, in Springfield, Missouri, United States. It was the morning after high school graduation, a time for new beginnings. But for three women, Sherrill Levitt, her daughter Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's friend Stacy McCall, this dawn would bring about the most baffling, tragic, unsolved mystery in American true crime history, the Springfield 3 disappearance. This case, involving a mother, her daughter, and a friend vanishing without a trace, has haunted this quiet American town for decades. The clean, virtually silent nature of the crime suggests a level of chilling professionality or intimate familiarity with the victims and their habits. To understand the immense void left by their vanishing, we must first understand the women themselves. Sherrill Levitt, at 47, was far more than just a hairdresser. She was the emotional and financial backbone of her family. After divorcing Suzie's father, she built a stable life, marked by meticulous organization and a fierce protective streak toward her home and her daughter. She had a known habit of locking the doors, a detail that makes the unlocked front door on the morning of June 7th one of the earliest and most disturbing clues. Her stability provided the foundation for Suzie Streeter, 19, was described as outgoing, fun-loving, and deeply focused on her future. She was independent and ready to move on from her high school years. Her friend, Stacy McCall, 18, was quieter, known for her dedication to academics and a slightly more cautious nature. Their profiles, a meticulous older woman, an outgoing young woman, and a cautious teenager, suggest they would not have willingly left without a fight or at least some communication, particularly given the celebratory energy of the prior evening. The victim's psychology here is key. They were stable individuals with clear plans, making their sudden, quiet departure psychologically improbable. On the evening of June 6th, the girls had been celebrating, attending various graduation parties. At around 11:15 p.m., Sherrill spoke to a friend on the phone about painting a chest of drawers, a perfectly normal, mundane detail that would become the last known action of the mother. Suzie and Stacy were last seen leaving a friend's party at approximately 2:15 a.m. on June 7th, heading back to Sherrill's house to spend the night. Given that both girls' cars, their purses, keys, and personal belongings were later found at the house, investigators believe they arrived home safely, sometime around 2:30 a.m. The window of the crime, therefore, narrows to between 2:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. The perpetrator had a window of 5 hours during the darkest, quietest part of the night. The disappearance was discovered by their friend, Janelle Kirby. Suzie and Stacy had made plans to meet Janelle and her boyfriend that morning to go to an amusement park, Whitewater. When the girls failed to show up or answer the phone, Janelle and her boyfriend, Mike Henson, drove to the Delmar Street house around 11 a.m. The initial moments after their arrival are now seen as a critical, tragic failure of procedure. The scene that greeted them was subtly, unnervingly wrong. The front door was unlocked, the first major contradiction to Sherrill's habits. The porcelain globe of the porch light was shattered on the porch, though the bulb was intact. Innocently, Mike Henson swept the broken glass away, an act later lamented by police as potentially destroying crucial evidence such as footprint residue, fibers, or trace DNA left by the perpetrator during a possible struggle at the entry point. This illustrates the fundamental problem of the case: contamination through understandable, yet ultimately devastating, human error. Inside, the house showed no signs of a physical struggle. No overturned furniture, no broken glass inside, and no blood. The television was on, tuned to a late-night channel. Sherrill's bed appeared to have been slept in. Stacy and Suzie's clothes, jewelry, and makeup wipes indicated they had arrived, washed up, and prepared for bed. Their purses, containing money, identification, and keys, were all neatly lined up in a bedroom. The only obvious sign of life was Cinnamon, Sherrill, and Suzie's Yorkshire Terrier, who was found inside the house, agitated. But the true tragedy lay with the answering machine. It contained a strange, obscene message from an unidentified male, which was tragically erased by Stacy's mother, Janice McCall, in her panic while trying to check the machine. This accidental contamination and destruction of what could have been the sole piece of direct, audio evidence stands as one of the most painful controversies of the case. Furthermore, before police were formally notified by Stacy's parents, over a dozen worried friends and family members had entered the house, touching items, contaminating surfaces, and potentially destroying forensic evidence that could have been collected had the scene been immediately secured. The police were left with almost nothing. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, no items stolen except the women themselves, and no blood or DNA evidence. This triple vanishing, where 3 people simply evaporated from a secured home, is exceedingly rare, driving investigators to consider multiple complex theories. The initial investigation was severely hampered by this contamination. The police were slow to treat the situation as an abduction, initially leaning toward the theory that the women had simply left town, despite the clear evidence of their belongings remaining behind. This early procedural delay meant the golden hours for investigation were lost. The focus was quickly put on the young women's social circles and individuals with potential grievances. Early suspects included Suzie Streeter's older brother, Bart Streeter, who had a strained relationship with his mother, but he was quickly cleared by a rock-solid alibi. Authorities also investigated Dustin Rekla, Suzie's ex-boyfriend, and his friend Michael Clay, who were known troublemakers and had allegedly threatened Suzie. No physical evidence ever connected them to the disappearance, yet the scrutiny on them damaged their lives and diverted precious resources. The most infamous, though highly controversial, suspect remains Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and robber who was living in Springfield at the time. Cox's alleged psychological profile fits a pattern of calculated malice. He served time for sexual assault and robbery, and moved to Springfield near the time of the disappearance. In 1997, Cox made the stunning, cruel claim that he knew the women were dead, that they had been killed and dismembered, and that their bodies would never be found. He also chillingly suggested he would reveal their location after his own mother passed away. This claim, filled with characteristic narcissism and cruelty, gave the families brief, false hope and years of agony. Despite this self-incrimination, police could never corroborate his statements. Cox has never been formally charged with the disappearance, with authorities noting he had a history of seeking attention, particularly from the media, leading to a profound legal and ethical dilemma. Is the prime suspect an attention seeker, a cruel liar, or the actual killer? The 2007 search under the Cox Hospital parking garage, prompted by an anonymous tip suggesting Cox buried them during construction work, further fueled this controversy. Ground-penetrating radar detected 3 anomalies consistent with burial sites, but the search was ultimately inconclusive and deemed improbable by the police, frustrating the public and the families, and highlighting the depth of distrust surrounding the investigation. The brutality and malice of the act are profound. The clean, quiet abduction of 3 women of different ages and profiles, suggesting either incredible preparation or local knowledge. The emotional tragedy lies in the decades of uncertainty for the families. The families' lives were entirely consumed by the search. Stacy McCall's mother, Janice McCall, became a relentless advocate, spending the rest of her life seeking answers. The constant media coverage, especially in the 90s, often blurred the lines between respectful reporting and sensationalism, with frequent, intrusive speculation about the victims' private lives. The internet age has amplified this. The social and internet reaction to the Springfield 3 has been immense, generating countless discussion forums, podcasts, and documentaries. The absence of a logical, official explanation has led to the proliferation of theories. On sites like Reddit and web sleuths, discussions often involve detailed geographical mapping of the area, analysis of the victim's phone records, and re-evaluation of the destroyed answering machine message. The prevailing narrative often centers on the idea of the attacker being known to at least one of the victims, given the lack of struggle and the unlocked door, suggesting a familiarity or a forced entry through deception. Other controversial theories include a possible connection to a local drug ring or a passing serial killer, specifically Larry Hall, though these lack concrete evidence. The unsolved nature of the case, 33 years on, keeps it tragically alive in the public consciousness, a symbol of justice denied. As of November 1, 2025, the case remains officially categorized as a missing persons case, though foul play is universally assumed. The three women were declared legally dead in 2010. The reward fund remains at $43,000 for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible. The legal outcome is a void, a legal limbo that is perhaps the cruelest outcome for a family, leaving them with no closure and the permanent burden of not knowing where their loved ones are buried. What actions can we take? The Springfield 3 disappearance is a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and the devastating impact of compromised crime scenes. The immediate action taken by worried friends, while understandable, severely damaged the investigation. The actionable conclusion here is twofold. First, when encountering a suspicious scene, always prioritize calling emergency services before entering or touching anything. Assume the scene is compromised and needs professional attention. Second, we must actively participate in keeping these cold cases alive. By sharing the names, Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, Stacy McCall, and the key details of the 1992 vanishing, by supporting organizations like the Charlie Project, we pressure law enforcement and ensure the perpetrators, who live among us, know they are not forgotten. Their disappearance remains a symbol of the terrifying truth that sometimes the answers simply vanish, but our commitment to finding them must not.